So if you're following along and kind of keeping track of how many lessons there are, where we're at this point, you would see that we're about halfway through. You might start to think, all right, 12 out of 24, halfway through this process. But we want to encourage you not to think that way, because it misses the point in a variety of different ways. You know, as you're walking this journey with somebody else, the reality is there may be things where you need to camp out more here or there. This is very fluid. It's not, okay, I just got to check these boxes off week after week after week. That misses the point. And then remember, this is all about a lifestyle. And so just to continue to bring back in, okay, the person or people you're discipling, are they already starting to teach some of these things to other people? Are you encouraging them to do that? Or is that being reproduced in their life? Are they planning to do that soon? And so this is a continual process. It's not just, okay, once I get to this, I'll check this off. We've got to make sure to go against that.
I also think it's a good time, though, for you to evaluate yourself as a leader, going, okay, does this person know me yet? You know, are they really seeing my life, or have I just been going through a study? Because, man, I can't emphasize enough, that's where we learn. That's where our kids learn. That's where we learn from our parents. It wasn't so much the lessons they taught us, but we saw the way they lived. You know, it was caught, not taught. You know, as they say, we saw it. I mean, I remember when I was in college, the first year in college, I lived with this family, this couple with a young baby, and I had no idea, just for that 1 year living with them, that years later when I got married, it's crazy. I naturally did what that husband did, because he was such a role model to me. Like the way I would treat my wife, I'd think, oh, what would Mike do in this situation? You know, and then once I had a kid, I was like, man, what would Mike do? Because he was such a great father, such a good dad. And it's weird how he never sat me down and said, hey, this is how you treat your wife, or this is how you raise your kids, or, you know, this is how you share your faith. I just naturally caught it. And so it's a good time for you to think through, okay, is that happening here? Am I really sharing my life as well as the word? You know, like Paul says, you saw my life, so is that happening?
So avoid getting into just Bible study mode in this whole picture. Yes, there's Bible study. We're teaching people to obey everything Christ has commanded us, but it's so much more than that. And that's really even illustrated in this lesson, because this is a critical picture in the story of Scripture when we see God enter into covenant with his people through Abraham. Now, there's some words in here that we kind of toss around in the church sometimes that I think we don't always really understand what we're saying, but covenant, this is a picture of relationship that's built on promise. And the storyline of Scripture really revolves around God initiating covenant relationship with his people. God saying, I'm going to make some promises to you, to be faithful to you, that I'm going to keep those promises to you, and that's the basis upon which our relationship with Christ is built.
Yeah, and it let your disciple admit if they don't understand, like almost pull it out of them, like, okay, are you sure you understand what covenant means?
Yeah, that's good.
That's kind of big, you understand it's like a promise, you bringing out redemption.
Yeah.
I mean, that's spoken of a lot in the material, but redemption, I didn't understand what that word meant until someone broke it down simply and said it's like a bottle. You see how like on a glass bottle or whatever, it'll say redemption value 5 cents. And they're like, okay, that's redemption. That means this thing was going to be tossed in the trash, and someone's going, no, give that to me. I'll give you a nickel for it. I want that. I'm pulling it out. And it was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So my sin.
Got a purpose for that.
After the fall, after the fall, it's like, throw me away, I'm a waste. And God's saying, no, I want to purchase, I want that. There's actually a value to that. In fact, I'll pay for that. And I'm jumping ahead of myself, but it's that whole idea of I'll pay the cross. Like it's that valuable, the redemption value. And so explain these things simply as you're explaining to your disciples, because you want them to be able to repeat it.
Even a word like faith. So that's but what does faith really mean? I mean, this is more than just intellectual belief and that's where a lot of people kind of stop with faith. Okay, I believe that, sure, but no, this is putting your life in the basically staking your life on a promise that God is going to be faithful, and trusting Him with everything, and following Him, to really flesh out that idea of faith.
Yeah, I just want to sound, this is the stupidest thing I ever did at church, okay? I'm a visual person, so that's why I'm telling you about a bottle or whatever. It's just the way my mind works, but I wanted to get that explanation of faith and what does it mean to believe, and please don't do this ever. Like, this is not a model. Don't follow my example on this, but it is a good story. One time I was teaching, and I brought this little balloon to church, probably about the size of my fist, and I just taped it to a wall, on the other side of the stage, and I brought a BB gun. And so I stood on the other end of the stage, and I go, how many of you guys believe I can hit this? And it's about 80% of them, raised their hand. And so I said, okay, how many of you are willing to hold that in your hand then? And some of them kept their hand out, and I said, okay, would anyone stick this between their teeth? And this one guy kept his hand up, and I didn't think anyone would. So I'm like, okay, come on forward, And I actually, just in case there was someone, I had this medical release form, and I had him fill it out and sign his name.
You had him fill out?
I did, right in front of everyone. So he signs it, he gets. And I didn't think, I'm trying to scare him because I'm thinking he's not going to do it. So he's all the way on the other side of the stage, and he sticks this thing between his teeth and just, is just smiling, going sideways. And so I want to just scare him. So I pull the BB gun up, right up, look in the scope, thinking he's going to get scared, and and I was going to put it down and go, I was just kidding, But once it got lined up, I thought I could hit this. And I pulled the trigger, and I hit the balloon. But everyone was so mad. I thought everyone would be like, yeah. But everyone's just like, are you stupid? What are you, 12? Attorneys are coming up to me like, we could have lost the whole church from that. And so please, that was dumb, but it was a good illustration.
That was really stupid.
It was stupid. But my point was, at the end, I'm going, okay, how many believers were in the room? How many true believers? Was it the 80% of you that raised your hand saying, yeah, I would do it, yeah, I think you'll hit it? Was it, the few of you that said, I'll hold it, at the tip of my fingers? Or is it the guy that's going to stick it between his teeth? And everyone's like, man, there was one believer in the room. And it was just that idea of faith. That was Abraham. Abraham was saying, you know what, I'll leave you say I'm going to have a new nation, everything else, I'm going to stick this thing between my teeth. And I'm going to go for it. And those are the things we want to make sure people understand when we say believe in Jesus, and Abraham believed in God. That's what we're talking about. He stuck it between his teeth. There was action that went with his supposed belief.
So flesh out these words, these really important biblical words, in the context of sharing life with the people that you're discipling.